Bela.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's episode. This is a great one. We're excited. Bella's here because she did a trailer reaction. Sorry, I broke the pattern. She did a trailer reaction, and it's our second or third most viewed video. I'm Ryan, and I'm a cinemaholic.
I'm Bella, and I'm a cinemaholic.
I'm Spencer, and I'm a cinemaholic, and today we're talking about Justice League, which is a new superhero movie that's in theaters and that is available to go watch. The plot summary, according to IMDb, is fueled by his restored faith in humanity and inspired by Superman's selfless act. Bruce Wayne enlists the help of his newfound ally, Diana Prince, to face an even greater enemy. Before we start, though, I just quickly wanted to mention something. I know that sometimes on this channel, several of us are kind of prone to getting a little bit hyperbolic. For an example, I myself have gotten a little bit hyperbolic at one point in time. When we reviewed Wind River at Sundance, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I would say retroactively that movie's about like probably an 8 out of 10. So real quickly, in case anyone has anything to add, I just wanted to see if anyone recently especially has come up with any hyperbolic statements they'd like to take back as well.
I haven't. What about you?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
Here's the thing. I did a Stardust reaction.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Okay.
I did. I do those a lot. I've done 141, but who's keeping track? I want this movie to be good. I really did. I wasn't a fan of the trailer. Personally, it didn't do anything really for me. But I wanted these guys to be good, and retroactively now. I'm gonna get a little deep just for a second. I think the reason I wanted this to be so good is for Zack Snyder's sake. The dude's going through a lot right now. This whole movie was in a bad situation, and I wanted it to be good. And all of my comments, I will preface all of my comments by saying I don't blame any specific person for why this movie didn't work. I think it just all across was good intentioned people that it just didn't work. We can get into why it didn't work later, but I do not take back the comment. I still love Ben Affleck as Batman. I don't think he was a problem with this movie. Spencer, you start us off. What did you think about this?
I think everybody can get a good idea of what I thought of this movie, but I'll go ahead and just reaffirm what I thought of this movie, which isn't a whole lot. I think that this is right above Suicide Squad on the DC EU spectrum, like right above. I mean, like maybe Suicide Squad here, Justice League like here, Batman vs Superman like here. Like this movie sucks. It is a complete disaster from beginning to end. There really wasn't too much I enjoyed about this movie. The one thing I will say that at some points I was like, okay, that wasn't bad, was Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was about the only thing about this movie that had any sort of redeeming qualities. And when I thought of it, the only reason why is because she had a good movie on her own. And I feel like the only thing was I had the connotations of, having seen Wonder Woman and knowing her backstory. So that's the only reason I enjoyed this movie. The action's a mess. The CGI is awful for the most part. Like some of it looks completely like it was still in post-production, like not a completed movie. Especially Cyborg. Cyborg looked god awful throughout this entire movie. The screenplay,
his mustache.
I didn't notice that actually. I was looking for that. I honestly didn't have an issue with that. But yeah, the screenplay of this movie is just a bunch of one-liners that aren't funny or charming at all. Like it felt like it was trying to be Marvel and did not pull it off. Basically, this is the worst Marvel movie ever made, as well as one of the worst DC movies ever made. And just compared to when you think of it up next to like The Dark Knight or an actually good DC movie that had effort put into it, it just makes it more of a slap in the face. One scene that I kept thinking of when I watched this movie, so there's a scene where a character, Batman, has to disable a shield. And you're like, oh, it's going to be this big task that he's going to have to do, like in Rogue One, where they have to take down the shield at the end of the movie. And he literally, like, the shield's around this big, like, building. He blows through the shield without having to take it down. He just blows straight through the shield in a plane and then shoots a tower and explodes, all within, like, 5 seconds. You think it's going to be this big moment with stakes, and that happens like that. And you're just like, okay, there were no stakes to that, and that's the whole movie personified.
No. The whole movie is setting up the Justice League, getting these characters together so that we can have a 5-second climax.
Oh wait, that reminds me of Suicide Squad.
Exactly. We walked out of this movie and she nailed it. This is a remake of Suicide Squad. It's literally an hour and 10 minutes of let's get this little chunk, this little chunk, this little chunk, and let's try and for some reason put these guys together. Oh, we need a reason. Let's make up a character. Let's make a villain that is so bad these characters need to come together and form this league. Nobody cares.
Yeah, who's that guy? Came from nowhere.
Yeah, Steppenwolf. I don't read the comics, but from what I've heard, he's a good villain and he could have been great. But this whole movie was a mess, and I did a Stardust reaction, and I said it was same level as BVS, or like worse than Batman versus Superman, and I stand by that. I think it suffers from the same thing. Everyone came out of Batman versus Superman, and they were so quick to just put their finger on something and say, nobody likes this movie because it's dark and gritty. That's the problem with this movie. That's not the problem with Batman versus Superman. The problem with Batman versus Superman is that it's a conjoined mess.
It makes no goddamn sense, like Justice League.
Yeah, that's exactly my point, is they tried to fix Batman versus Superman by making it bright and happy and funny with one-liners, but they didn't fix the real problem of Batman versus Superman, which is that it doesn't make sense and it doesn't flow in a complete story, and there's no stakes. Like, we literally do not care about these characters.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. I actually enjoy more than you too. At first I was like, well, it's not so bad, I guess. But now thinking about it, it is kind of bad. And I didn't know that Superman was coming back. And I watched the trailer. I was like, oh, that looks fine. It's gonna look good, I guess. And
he came back and he had a mustache.
I didn't know he was coming back. It was a surprise to me, and I was like, that's just like, it was all this thing to, like, part of the movie was just bringing Superman back. Like, I mean, it was kind of like out of nowhere. Like, oh, hey, we have to dig Superman's grave, and we have to grab his body and put this on this water thing and, bring him back. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, all right, that happened. Now what? And then there was this thing that he came back, and no one really cared that he was back. Like, did he was back? I mean, the police saw them, but no one said anything. There wasn't, I guess it wasn't the point of the movie. But it was like, oh, okay, he came back, but no one cares. But, the first part of the movie, they were like, oh, I miss Superman. It was like, oh, okay, he came back. And then it was just a mess. And then the best part, I think, was Wonder Woman. I liked her. And I don't think Ben Affleck is so bad as Batman.
I like him.
Yeah, I like him. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, no, look, he's not horrible as Batman, guys. I'm not trying to dig against Ben Affleck as an actor. A horrible script is a really hard thing for an actor to work with. And look, like, it's saying, okay, like, I don't want to make like this a big thing, but compared to like Christian Bale or like Adam West as Batman, back when things were supposed to be campy and kind of stupid, or with Christian Bale when it has depth to the character and like actual meaning to the story, and you actually are invested in the story, then I don't know, guys, like I really think that Ben Affleck's interpretation of Batman's fine, but that doesn't fix bad screenwriting. So it's like
I 100% agree with that. But my last question for you, and we can move on, is you said you liked Wonder Woman the most in this, probably because she had her own movie that was really good and you were invested. And I think that's what most people are going to say. Would you say the same thing about Batman if we had gotten the good Batman movie that we could have gotten
See,
with Ben
Ryan,
Affleck really stood out? It doesn't change the fact that this movie would have been bad. But do you think you would have liked Ben Affleck more?
I think the key word there is good. The one good DCEU movie we've had was Wonder Woman. And Man of Steel sucked. Like, let's be honest, it sucked. And I mean, I know some people really like Man of Steel, but as far as an interpretation of Superman, I've read lots of Superman comics. I love Superman. It was not a good interpretation. The DCU, in fact, this movie, oddly enough, is the closest they've ever had to a spot on interpretation of Superman, even though it wasn't spot on. Like, it still has a far way to go as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, if we would have had a good Batman movie in some alternate universe, sure, I might have liked Batman more in this movie and been more invested in him as a character. But the thing is that in the universe we live in, we haven't had a Batman movie, we haven't had a Flash movie, we haven't had an Aquaman movie, and we haven't had a Cyborg movie. And Cyborg, what the hell was up with that guy? Like, he was the worst character in this movie, hands down. He could have been so awesome. So that's my point. It's like, we didn't have enough time to set these people up. The reason why the Avengers was so good was because we had the time to get invested in these characters, because by the time it hit Avengers, we had like 5 or 6 movies.
Yeah, it's funny because even in my trailer reaction, I said, "Oh, it's gonna be fine because it's not like Suicide Squad because we didn't know all these characters. We actually know them." But thinking about that now, yeah, there was something missing. I wish they made previous movies before they did Justice League, like
Or
the
if they would have
Avengers.
just skipped it. The problem was that they tried to make a bunch of little movies and stick them at
Yeah.
the beginning of this movie. If they would have either made 6 movies first and let those come out as single, or just assumed that we know who these characters are.
Because we know.
Well, can I go ahead?
Don't treat us like we're stupid.
Yeah.
But you don't have to devote an hour and 10 minutes to explaining who Barry Allen is. Just assume, let him do his thing, have it be a small part, and then explain it in the next movie. Devote 40 minutes of this movie to explaining it. That's why this falls apart.
Can I just say something real quick? Is like, I agree with what you're saying completely. Like, they could have just started off, if it would have been faithful adaptations of the character. Like, for example, I mean, we had basically an introduction to Batman with Batman versus Superman, right? Like, that was our introduction to him in the DCEU. But like Aquaman, this is a wildly different interpretation of Aquaman than we've ever seen before. And we get, maybe, if I'm being generous, 7 minutes of time to be introduced to Aquaman as a character. And it's not even a particularly good introduction at all. So I found that, like, choice to be super baffling. And it honestly doesn't work, guys. Like, even Flash, who is a pretty, fine adaptation of the Flash, and they want him to be fun. He's kind of the jokester of the movie. I could have used more. We're just introduced all of a sudden to him and his relationship with his father, played by Billy Crudup. And it's like, I could have used a movie to get why his dad's in this situation and more behind this relationship. So it's just like, it felt super rushed and it was a mess.
But it worked for Batman versus Superman with Wonder Woman because it wasn't a role. Wonder Woman pops in, she has a little segment, and then she gets a whole movie for herself. And then we just kind of continue on. And I think it would have worked with these characters if we just had like little, not focusing much on them, and then we get their story. But they tried to do like a half thing, and it really didn't work.
With the real motivation.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to score this first, and then we'll just kind of end this because my blood's getting boiling. I am going to give this a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 raccoons.
Okay, you guys are gonna be that at me. I'll score it 5 out of 10 raccoons. It was.
That's so negative. So, I mean, listen, like, if people enjoy this, whatever, guys. I did not enjoy myself at all. I don't care what you guys say. If you comment and get all pissy, then that's fine. If you enjoyed this movie, whatever. It's not a good movie. That doesn't change the fact that it's not a good movie. There might be fun moments in it, but I didn't have any fun in this movie. So I'm going to go ahead and score this movie 2 out of 10 raccoons. I really didn't have fun with this. I didn't think it was good. I think it's a crappy movie. I wish I would have seen Thor again rather. If we wouldn't have been reviewing this movie, I would have walked out of it. I mean, thank God for Movie Pass. That's all I have to say. I paid $10 for this. So
Seriously.
Got mine today.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Just got.
I was gonna say something. I don't even. I don't even remember. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like it, you can argue me with all of us as much as you want. I don't care. I'm glad. We've said this several times on the channel. Movies to be bad. We don't want to go and have a miserable experience in the theater. And if you had a good
we
time,
did.
If someone had a good time, good for them. That's awesome. But you can't come at me and say, you don't know what you're talking about. This is just a good popcorn flick. That's not a reason as to why it's good. You can't argue with me against all of our points that we've just said as to why it's bad by just saying it's a popcorn movie. If we as a society are putting that low of a standard on movies, next year we're going to get 6 movies just like 9 Lives, all by pedophiles. And that's what we deserve. If that's what we're putting the bar at, that's what we deserve. And I'm not taking that. If you want to give me a good reason as to why this movie is good, I will. Popcorn movie is not an answer. Follow me on Twitter and yell at me at Rye_Gordon.
You can follow me on Twitter at $.
Yeah, guys, if you don't like this review, just go watch Bella's trailer reaction for the billionth time, and then see when we thought this movie might actually be okay. Yeah, don't follow me anywhere this time because I don't want to hear anything about this movie. So thank you all very much for watching. If you happen to agree with us and haven't already clicked away from this movie, then go ahead and subscribe and like or dislike, do whatever you want. I don't care at this point. I'm just goddamn tired of this bullshit. All right, guys, peace out.